So if 2020 to 2022 was sort of the overhiring phase of this last tech job cycle, then after that, we sort of entered into this back to normal phase. And this I would characterize as being late 22 through mid 2023, something like that. We'll just call it 22 to 23. So this was sort of the back to normal kind of stretch. And what happened here? So now we've got the beginning of rates rising. So money isn't free anymore. Money isn't 0% to borrow. It starts to rise. And not only that, you also have, lenders tightening credit standards and things like that. So you have that from multiple fronts, that there's less money. There's also no longer free money, no more pandemic checks, no more, again, both to businesses and consumers. All of that excess money is starting to get spent down because it all landed in people's checking accounts. You probably remember that yourself. And eventually it gets spent. Maybe it gets invested, but either way, it's not just like liquid cash just floating around as much as it was. So I'll say rates rising, end of checks. So the free money parade is over. So of course it's going to lead to a back to normal in terms of hiring. And that's a typical cycle correction. So instead of seeing really outlandish offers where you have, a regular sort of developer job, all of a sudden that's $200K plus in comp, we start to see salary expectations, well, not just salary expectations, first offers, and then expectations begin to normalize a bit. Not a ton in this part of the cycle, but that starts to happen. And really what starts to happen is layoffs. So we started to see the surge in layoffs, and then we also started to see backdoor layoffs. And what were the backdoor layoffs? AKA, a lot of you will know this, RTO. So one of the reasons that a lot of big companies formalize their return to office plan, they don't like paying for extra office space, and they put a lot of reasoning behind it. And it's true, there are advantages to being in the office. Hell, I'm in an office right now. So there are advantages to it. But a big reason for it as well was that it was a form of backdoor layoff because a lot of people didn't want to go back to the office. And so they quit. And when they quit, instead of being laid off, you don't have to do severance. You don't have to pay out all those extra monies. And it's sort of a faster process, self-selecting as well. So those two combined to all of a sudden add a lot of tech workers, to the unemployed ranks. And we see this divergence in the economy where in-person hiring, this is across all sectors, but in-person hiring, particularly in the service economy, is going up, and then remote hiring was falling to flat. I actually don't want to say it was collapsing. It wasn't collapsing yet. It's more like that. Just declining in a shallow way. Because there's still overall 2022, 2023, the economy's growing throughout the period. And so we see a little bit of a slowdown here. We see in-person hiring going up. But in the tech economy specifically, we see some of the overhiring binge ending and some of that getting burned off. And that's a typical cycle correction. If you look at the post-Y2K era, in many ways, it was more severe than the tech recession that we're seeing right now. And then if you look at 2008, the last time there was a major recession in the economy, there was no tech recession at that time. There was a brief dip, but actually tech jobs started rallying almost immediately because that was sort of the beginning of a big cycle in technology at that time. All right, so that's sort of the back to normal normalization period. So what happens next?